Day 141. Job chapter 22 through 24. Job proclaims God's righteous judgment. Chapter 22. Eliphaz accuses Job of wickedness. 23. Job proclaims God's righteous judgment. 24. Job complains of violence on the earth. Still refusing to admit the possibility of an innocent man having to suffer, Eliphaz begins round 3 of the dialogue. However, this round does not go fully cycle. Bildad's contribution is very brief, chapter 25, and Zophar does not speak at all. The arguments now become painfully pointed. Eliphaz confronts Job, saying, "Is not your evil abundant? There is no end to your iniquities." In the face of Eliphaz's direct accusations, Job does not retaliate. Day 142. Job chapter 25 through 28. Job's discourse on wisdom. Chapter 25. Bildad. How can man be righteous? 26. Job. Man's frailty and God's majesty. 27. Job maintains his integrity. 28. Job's discourse on wisdom. Bildad does not argue with Job, but rather offer two generalizations. God is great, and man is a worm, conclusions which Job finds utterly comfortless. Job's rebuttal is in the form of a discourse on God's sovereignty, in which he re-emphasizes his innocence and reaffirms his confidence that God's scales of justice will ultimately balance. Job then ponders the magnitude of God's wisdom, concluding, "Behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to turn away from evil is understanding." Chapter 28, verse 28. Though that understanding still eludes him. Day 143. Job 29 through 31. Job's summary defense. Chapter 29. Job's summary defense. Past glory. 30. Present groaning. 31. Personal pity. Zophar, realizing the debate had reached a stalemate, maintains his silence rather than giving a third rebuttal. But while Job's advisers have at last grown silent, the problem of his suffering lingers on, prompting Job to think back to the good old days. In the past, God had blessed him with protection, prosperity, and the respect of his neighbors. But now all that has changed. Poverty has replaced prosperity. Respect has given way to ridicule. Disease has destroyed his health and vitality. Looking inward, Job concludes his punishment is unjustified. Looking upward, he can only plead, "Let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know mine integrity." Day 144. Job chapter 32 through 34. Elihu proclaimed God's justice. Chapter 32. Elihu contradicts Job's friend. 33. Elihu contradicts Job. 34. Elihu proclaimed God's justice. Throughout the lengthy debate, three men have dialogued with Job, but standing in courteous silence is a fourth man, younger than the rest. At last, angry with Job for his self-proclaimed innocence, and indignant with Job's three friends for their deficient answers, Elihu can remain silent no longer. In four lengthy monologues, he declares his evaluation of Job's situation. The problem, as Elihu diagnoses, it is pride. Although Job has not brought on his trials by sinning, yet he does sin during his trials by proudly demanding an answer from God. Elihu reminds Job that the gracious God sometimes uses affliction in order to gain our attention and save us from even more serious consequences. Day 145, Job chapter 35 through 37. Elihu condemns self-righteousness. 35. Elihu condemns self-righteousness. 36. Elihu proclaims God's goodness. 37. Elihu proclaims God's majesty. Job has observed it profit a man nothing that he should take delight in God. Elihu now attempts to prove there really is profit in serving God, regardless of the price of pain. Through suffering, people can learn much about God's justice, chastening, and holiness. Truly, the Almighty is excellent in power and in judgment and in plenty of justice. Only in a clearer picture of God will Job find the answers to his questions. Day 146, Job chapter 38 and 39. Lord reveals his omnipotence to Job. God now speaks out of the whirlwind and begins to direct probing questions at Job's questions, designed to illustrate the greatness of God and the smallness of the man. Obviously, this breaking of the heavenly silence is not exactly what Job had in mind in chapter 31, verse 35. He can only tremble in awe, silently answering, "No, no, no," to God's divine interrogation. God invites Job to review the whole realm of creation from A to Z, astronomy to geology. His questions do not answer Job's specific why, but they do begin to answer the bigger and as yet unasked question, who.